Joining us is Ayesha Rashan. Are you feeling better?
Yes, I'm feeling better.
Since 2019, you've had, heart issues. How has it been for you, and how was this entire journey? What kind of a struggle was it?
मेरे लिए तो मुश्किल था बहुत ज़्यादा, और बहुत सारी स्ट्रगल्स भी थी, और बहुत हर चीज़ में पेन था.
और अभी तो आपका हेल्थ बेटर है. प्लान क्या है आपका? वापस जाके क्या करना चाहती हैं आप?
वापस जाके स्टडी करूँगा.
और आपका क्या विश है? लाइक व्हाट डू यू वांट टू बिकम?
फैशन डिज़ाइनर.
Okay. Was the treatment good, and did you feel relieved after the transplant? Because you still will be here under observation.
सब कुछ ठीक है, और हर चीज़ ट्रीटमेंट भी बहुत अच्छी हुई है, हर चीज़ बहुत अच्छा है.
Ma'am, initially 2019 उसका हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम था, तभी से आप यहाँ आ रहे थे. वीज़ा मिलना मुश्किल था कि क्या प्रोसेस था?
वीज़ा जैसे एप्लीकेशन डाल देते थे हम लोग, उसमें 60 डेज़ लग जाते थे. मीन्स हम लोग वहाँ कॉल करके मैसेज करके बार बार पूछना पड़ता था. इमरजेंसी विंडो पे भी मैं गई इस्लामाबाद, बट वो कह रहे थे कि नहीं, आप उसके थ्रू आप दें वीज़ा, जैसे आप सेंड करें फ़ॉर्म के थ्रू. तो हमने उससे भी कोशिश की, लेकिन थोड़ा सा डिफ़िकल्ट होता है. मिल जाता है, टाइम लगता है थोड़ा सा, और मिल गया था वीज़ा. मुझे थोड़ा सा फोर्स करना पड़ा था, 2-3 लोगों से बात करी, मिल गया था लेकिन वीज़ा.
और कॉस्ट भी बहुत ज़्यादा था फॉर अ ट्रांसप्लांट. सो आपका चैलेंजेस क्या था इस एंटायर प्रोसेस में?
कॉस्ट तो ऑलमोस्ट बहुत ज़्यादा, क्योंकि पाकिस्तानी करेंसी और इंडियन करेंसी में बहुत फ़र्क है. यहाँ के 35 वहाँ पे करोड़ रुपए हो जाते हैं. तो मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा कहते हैं इम्पॉसिबल कि मैं कैसे जमा करूँगी इतने सारे पैसे. खैर, मैंने जितनी भी क्राउड फंडिंग की उसमें मैं सिर्फ अपना रेंट और आने जाने का किराया ही कहते हैं एक्सपेंस जमा कर सकी. तो ये मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा चैलेंजिंग था. और अब ये कि यहाँ आने के बाद एक होप थी, मे बी ट्रस्ट के थ्रू. बाला सर से मेरी बात हुई थी, तो बाला सर ने कहा था हम कोशिश करेंगे, तो बस उन्होंने हेल्प किया इस तरह से.
अभी आपका टेंशन सब खत्म हो गया?
बिल्कुल.
बहुत मुश्किल था ना,
बहुत ज़्यादा. वो भी देख रहे थे कि मीन्स के बहुत मुश्किल है उसके लिए भी, क्योंकि सर्वाइव करना उसके लिए बार बार ऐसी चीज़ें हो रही हैं. इन्फेक्शन बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है, ब्लीडिंग, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हो रही हैं. लेकिन बस कहते हैं ना, ऊपर वाली की ज़ात से ना उम्मीद नहीं थे, और अल्लाह ताला ने बाला सर के दिल में इतनी बड़ी चीज़ डाली, तो हमारे लिए बहुत आसानी हुई.
आप ऑब्जर्वेशन में हो आयशा?
जी हाँ. अब ये कि वैसे सब कुछ ठीक है, लेकिन डॉक्टर्स अभी भी चेक कर रहे हैं.
कब जा रहे हैं वापस?
इंशाल्लाह 2 महीने के बाद है हमारा प्लान.
आपका फैमिली सब खुशी है? आपके
बहुत ज़्यादा.
husband और चिल्ड्रन
सब बहुत खुश हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा प्रे करते हैं, बहुत दुआएं देते हैं, इंडिया को थैंक्स कहते हैं. वहाँ की पब्लिक बहुत थैंक्स कह रही है, कि बहुत अप्रिशिएट करी है इस चीज़ को, कि बहुत बड़ी चीज़ हुई है ये. और मीन्स के हिस्ट्री में फ़र्स्ट टाइम ऐसी चीज़ हुई है कि आयशा इतनी बड़ी चीज़ लेके जा रही है यहाँ से, और वो भी फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट.
बहुत आपका मैसेज क्या है जो फैमिलीज इतना मुश्किल से दे आर ट्राइंग टू गेट अ ट्रांसप्लांट डन? आपका मैसेज क्या है आपके जैसे यूथ और चिल्ड्रन के लिए?
आप लोग भी आएँ और वो ट्रांसप्लांट करवाएं, जिसको ये प्रॉब्लम है.
Take care and get well
Take
soon,
care.
Aisha, and thank you so much for talking to us. Joining us is Dr. Suresh Rao. Sir, how challenging was the case of Aisha this time?
We had several challenges, medical challenges, socio-economical challenges, and apart from this, related to the local issues. Now, I'll be talking about mainly medical challenges. She was very sick, so always when you are treating the sick patients, you can anticipate so many complications, everything. She had severe heart failure. She came to us 4 years back. That time she had a cardiac arrest, so we had to resuscitate her with eCPR, that is ECMO assisted CPR. And ECMO is only a temporary support it cannot be forever. So the next step was transplant, but she didn't get a heart because she's an international patient. So we went ahead with the LVAD. LVAD basically supports the left ventricle. Right ventricle has to pump on its own. Her right ventricular was not so good, but we could manage. So we put the LVAD and sent her back. She was okay for 4 years. Then the right side started giving problem. So we had to address that. So we asked her to come here. By the time she came, she had severe right heart failure. And also there was leak in the valve. So the only option was heart transplant. We registered her. She was on waiting list for again 10 months here. And one fine day there was an organ in Delhi. So whenever you have any matching Indian recipients, it will go to Indians. So in this case, there were no Indian takers. So we asked for the international patient. Since no Indians were there, it was allotted to her. She's lucky to get that organ. And surgery went on well. Of course, it was a big heart. She's a small girl, so we had to keep the chest open almost 10 days. Then finally the heart shrunk. Then we could close the chest. And now she's doing fine. And socioeconomic, again, she couldn't afford anything. When she called, she said, mother said we can't afford anything. But it is some kind of social responsibility also. So we said, okay, we will see what else can be done. And fortunately, some of the patients who had heart transplant with us, they wanted to donate something. They wanted to do something for the society. And they came forward to contribute to her surgery. And also Aishwaryan Trust, which actually has helping a lot of children with congenital heart disease for cardiac surgery. They contributed a major amount. And of course, the hospital gave all the supports. Doctors also came forward. So finally, we could overcome that challenge also.
So MGM Healthcare has always been a pioneer when it comes to transplants. Are you seeing more and more patients now approaching Tamil Nadu specifically, because we think that organ transplants, as far as MGM Healthcare and Tamil Nadu are concerned, do you think we are better equipped?
Definitely. It is so advanced that the kind of work we are doing in MGM, or even it's at par with any of the hospitals in the world. In fact, if you compare to US, our cost is much lesser. So the same procedure, you have to pay almost 10 times the cost as compared to India. And India, when you're talking about the medical field, it is at par with any of the countries. We are doing around 100 heart transplants per year, and hardly 3-4 centers in the world are doing such a volume. So Chennai has become the medical hub. So the government also promoting the medical tourism. So that way it is not just the heart. So many patients from all the surrounding countries, they are coming to India for treatment.
Do you see the trend increasing of more and more international patients now approaching or coming to India for transplants, not just health transplants, but organ transplants? Do you believe that the trend is now towards India, where more patients are coming forward?
Yes, definitely. Because today we are getting a lot of video calls, or we have video consultations. So a lot of patients, they will consult us over video, then online. And once we suggested, they would like to come here. So definitely it has increased, and it's increasing day by day.
Joining us is Dr. Balakrishnan. So thank you so much for talking to us. Take us through Ayesha's case. How challenging and difficult was this case?
It was challenging from both medical and perhaps non-medical point of view. She first came to us in 2019 with severe heart failure, and promptly within a couple of days had a cardiac arrest and required CPR for, I think, close to 45 minutes. And then we initiated what is called ECMO. And fortunately, she woke up after for I think 2 days or so, and then we put in a temporary heart pump, and then long-term left ventricular assist device called hardware pump from Medtronic. Normally, with that, you should be okay to survive for several years. We have our longest surviving VAD is now 12 years post implant. But unfortunately, she developed a leak of one of her valves, aortic valve started leaking very badly, and she developed infection around the pump. And it was not easy to treat this in their country because they don't have a transplant or a VAD program. So the necessary gear to check the functioning of the pump was not there. And every few weeks she used to get sick and get admitted to the hospital, and I had to be in touch with the treating doctors to know what best we can do. It was not easy to manage, especially if you have a hard pump and the aortic valve leaks. It's a very difficult situation because all the pump flow comes back into the heart. So it is, you have to do something about it, and it's a high-risk procedure. And eventually, with great difficulty, she got a visa. I mean, this case was, of course, complicated by the social and other realities of where she lives. And in the meantime, I think family circumstances, they had absolutely no money. But a child that we had already operated, we just couldn't very well let her die. So I asked her to come over here, and she was here for I think close to 9 months, during which we had to treat her infection and repeated hospitalization. Severe aortic leak in patients with functioning VAD, half the time we are not fully conscious. She used to lose consciousness very often. Her only chance was a transplant, and for a foreigner to get an organ is very, very difficult. We probably do in this country, I think. All centers put together perhaps do 1 or 2 foreign transplants. In our unit, we do close to 100 transplants a year. So we are a very busy program, but foreigners, it's very difficult to get an organ. But she was lucky because there was a donor in Delhi who was 69 years of age, and perhaps nobody else wanted that organ in view of the advanced age. And since there were no takers, it was allotted to her by NATO, the Central Organ Allocation Agency based out of Delhi. So we accepted it and then did the transplant. There was a lot of pus around the heart. It was technically challenging. The heart was too big for her chest cavity, so we couldn't close the chest for almost 10 days. But then she eventually recovered. The biggest challenge was to raise the money because it's expensive. Much more than a usual transplant because her intensive care stay was very prolonged. She was in the hospital for a couple of months. So we run a trust called Aishwaryan Trust. They generously came forward to help. I put in my own personal finances, and then several of the patients who had a transplant or got treated by us, and that they saw this young girl with a mother struggling, and out of the goodness of their heart, they also contributed. So eventually, the outcome was good. But the trust has funded, I think, close to 175 Indian transplants, mostly children. So she was lucky to be in that position that it was possible for her to help. But we would have helped regardless of which country she came from or which state in India she came from.